You know, you as a man haven't done enough for feminism or the feminist, they would like to tell you. This is what they would have you believe. So let's talk about this article. TheConversation.com here has to say, they say men who identify as feminist are having more and more varied, well, bedroom fun and intimacy. So this is one reason why a lot of feminist or men allies, quote unquote, you know, even 40 or so years ago, they capitulated to their women. They didn't want to get divorced. They didn't want to be outcasted from their social groups. And they were also promised, you know, more and more, quote unquote, fun. And a lot of men went along with it because women were more open. You know, this took away traditionalism where a woman would wait to be a virgin or, you know, have, let's say, less experiences with men and try to wait for that man and try to save herself for marriage where she would commit to a family and kids. Feminism has opened the door where women have the choice and are much more open and available, and, you know, traditional type people would say promiscuous. You know, there has been that change, and that was a motivator for men, but a lot of you men, you became weaker through this. You capitulated, and you ultimately have sacrificed your identities and hurt a lot of men. And I make this video in part because I recently had a couple friends, or at least I thought they were friends, people I had known for a while, and in my current videos, you know, as I discuss, you know, traveling internationally, possibly dating and finding, you know, relationships or marriage internationally, and, you know, overcoming social issues and problems and helping men, that I guess that's a problem to these people. You know, they have the audacity to not even try to argue with my points. I make a video, sometimes 2 hours long, describing and going into deep detail and conversation about all kinds of different topics and points, and they have the, you know, audacity or the gall, or just choose to just try to shame me, to try to say I'm disgusting. And I mention that because that is how you are treated by women. You know, they have institutional power now. They have power over businesses and power over corporations. They most certainly control all of your HR departments and who gets hired and who gets fired. And that is one of their most powerful powers, is with HR departments, human resources, who gets fired and hired. But they have government control and government programs and all kinds of things. But one of the strongest powers that feminists still have is to shame men. Now, you might consider yourself more of a neutral man. You might even consider yourself a feminist, but you're going to continue to capitulate. And I'm going to be making this video and more videos about how feminists actually view you as a man, unabashed, how they feel about you, even if you're a feminist man, even if you're not neutral. Let's talk about what they have to say. They say feminism is predicated, which means based on, that's the foundation, on support for gender equality. Of course, they love to use this gender equality word as in suggesting that there's going to be benefits for men and women. They, at the very end of this video, are very clear. This is about taking, you know, what they want, you know, the benefits that men might have, and taking away that, you know, taking it for themselves. They say bringing them in line with the current socio-political trends. So feminism has moved more from just trying to help women. It's moved into a political movement. It's moved into this sphere of quote unquote social justice, where it tries to fight for different so-called minority groups. It tries to fight for trans and other things as they, you know, invade your public libraries, and they have, you know, rallies and marches and parks, and they target your children with Disney and you know, Sesame Street and kids programming, and they take over your and create video games to be safe spaces like Animal Crossing and Minecraft and the like. They take over all these things, and they're targeting your children. But of course, you know, you as a man aren't doing enough to, you know, allow yourself to be, you know, take more of your money, take more of your jobs, but also you're not handing over your kids. Of course, most of you men have been kicked out of the households. Most of you men, 50% or more, 50 to 70% of you have been divorced. So there's no men in the homes teaching these children to begin with. And you as a man also, if you're, an average looking man, or just an average man, most women consider 80% of men to be average or below average. So, they even divorce the top 20% and, steal and take their money and take advantages from this. And again, we're just talking about some facts here that help you get some perspective. Women spend 80% of the economy, or spend 80% of the money. That means they have control of their money. They're 50 or 51, 52% of the population in most Western countries. And then they're spending about 30% or more of, men's money. That means that they have control of their money, married men's money, the majority of that, and they're also getting, benefits and everything else from taxes and everything else. But, they say here that you haven't done enough. They say, in a recent article, co-authored sociologist Tina Fetner, we looked at whether feminist men care about equality in the bedroom. They still think that men are, men being confident or being dominant or having their needs met, they still think that that's a problem. They say specifically, we were interested in how the bedroom fund lies, have to be correct for YouTube, says feminist men differed from non-feminist men, did their personal politics. Of course, they get into politics. They say, seeking answers to these questions, we analyzed a subsample of self-identifying heterosexual men. Of course, that's not the default. You have to self-identify, you have to make a choice. This is what they're teaching your kids at public schools. You have to, choose. It's not default. It's not just the norm. This is what also doctors are targeting your children. And if your kid's unsure or, has some qualities of being, something outside of their biological gender, might be targeted, and they might try to give them, drugs and change and do surgery upon them to make them trans. I hope that you're very aware of that and protect your children. They say this is a Canada survey, in certain areas are very, very leftist and feminist. They say it says questions not only, the identity, but also the personal behavior. So of course, men are the problem. Men are the ones that have to be given these studies. They don't do this type of study in regards to everybody and then try to figure out the information and pros and cons and contrast and all this. Let's see where they go. Let's see. But of course, again, they don't do real studies anymore. This is just targeted towards men, and they're just trying to see, if men, what are the differences, experiences, and maybe they consider the happiness of men if they're in a traditional relationship or whatever. We don't even know the factors yet. They probably won't even go over them. They say of all the straight Canadian men, we found that only 22% actually identify as feminist. So again, you have to openly choose to be quote unquote heterosexual or not, but they don't consider they're narrowing it down. They get to cherry pick. So they found, men who self-identified as heterosexual. And of those men, the more masculine men, the more traditional men, again, a lot of men are just going to not want to answer this question, or they're just going to be neutral. A lot of men, if you're in a beaten down, weak feminist type of area like Quebec, a lot of men are going to say neutral, I don't know, or they're going to have some identity. They think it's normal to have some kind of other identity other than, a man. So they found the most masculine traditional men, often married traditional men, and only 22% of them said they were feminist. So they want to, it's a it's a problem if you are a masculine traditional man and let's say you're bringing home the bacon, you're providing for a family. Even if both of the man and the women are working, again, you as a man have to be making 3 times as much money than her, and she still is likely not to even be happy then. So you have to, as a man, even if you make 3 times as much money as her and she was willing to marry you, these are probably fairly successful men overall, especially in Canada. in Quebec, from probably a major city. They cherry picked this study, and 22% of them said they were feminist. Of course, that supposedly is a problem. They say most men, around 60%, said they were not feminist, and 18% said they're not sure. So again, you find that most traditional men, the men who can hold a masculine frame, hold a marriage together, or at least fairly decently, again, they're more likely to be making most of the money for a family or a relationship, or all of the money, and then they still have to be quote-unquote feminist. So you as a man, if you're making 3 times as much money as your partner, I guess you should be giving over your money or fighting so you know your wife or your female partner just replaces you or something. Doesn't matter how hard you work, doesn't matter how smart you are, doesn't matter how much overtime you put in, and if she doesn't put as much hours as you, if she doesn't sacrifice and do as much work as you do, it's not the same work. This is a tired old argument is false. Women don't put as much work in as men do. They don't. It's been proven. In everyday situations, you can look around you. Men do more work and work harder, work more dangerous jobs, and put in overtime, make sacrifices. They don't take as many vacations, etc., etc. So they say feminist men were more likely to have higher levels of education. Of course, because they control education and they control and manipulate that, and it's a form of privilege. If you can be a feminist, that's privilege. Where you can disrupt and destroy the natural biological, foundation of a relationship. If you go outside and look at animals, the man provides, the man gives to women, the woman accepts the gifts, and and they build a family together. That women are the ones, funny enough, these feminists are the ones who reject science. They reject biology, and in order for you to be a feminist, you have to be brainwashed by colleges and so-called higher education. I'm That's the truth of the matter. But let's see here. They say feminism equals more bedroom fun, more intimacy. They say taking a look at how recent men engage in certain acts, we found feminist men have more than non-feminist men. I'm curious, why do they think this? Specifically, they say feminist men reported having more activity in the bedroom, both in receiving other activities. So this so essentially feminists are more experimental, or more likely to be willing to do alternate acts, than just the old, the old traditional, missionary. It's, again, they don't give us any statistics here. They don't talk about how often these things are done. They just they have this one little factor that, yeah, feminist women are probably a little bit more likely to do other types of acts. I mean, what are the differences in frequency and satisfaction between both partners? And what about the loyalty? We know that feminist women are not loyal women. They often cheat. They often cheat with their best friends, being bi or lesbian. Feminist women, are more likely to cheat on you. Feminist women are more quote-unquote experimental. So that is something that men might be tempted in. You as a modern man might be tempted to want to date feminist or feminist and believe in some feminism because you think that you're gonna, get more action. Again, the lie of, married men having more action than single men is another lie that also motivates men to also get married these days, which is another lie that's been statistically disproven in our modern society. They say, taking a deeper look at this, we examine men's most recent encounters to further test. Anyways, let's read through here. Say likely non-feminists to engage in. Okay, they talk about some other types of activities, some really basic activities there. And of course, it's See, they're trying to motivate men here. Oh, you're going to get something a little bit extra. You're going to get something a little bit more. I'm surprised, and I think they are going to get to the point where they complain about the, satisfaction between men and women. So they're trying to say that if you are a feminist or a feminist ally, there's going to be benefits. They say gender equality is private and public. They say all too frequent, we men say one thing and do another. We tend to focus primarily on public attitudes and behaviors. We have little knowledge of what goes beyond. So they're saying that, we as people, we're not controlling men's behavior enough. We're not studying them. We're not analyzing them enough. Women, when they get into the bedroom, even if they're a feminist, they can become submissive or care about men's satisfaction. Again, these feminist women are trained and told that, they shouldn't be satisfying men. Even if they're in a relationship, even if they want to be satisfied, they're looking for ways so they can get satisfied. Again, women have more of a desire for this type of activity than they let on. A lot of traditional men think that women pretty much don't want it at all, or they can control themselves and they can be ice queens or whatever. But these type of women have more of a desire than they let on, but they have less desire than men. So again, it's interesting that they don't talk about that biological difference that men, they're able to have that desire and be more active. And biologically speaking, that's why they're, there's the potential or possibility that one man could, have many children if he was successful or wealthy enough, or, these women were willing to, want to engage with him. They say in the private encounters, feminist men are the most ambivalent. So they're the nicest. They're the most gentle. They say they are more, they care more about women's satisfaction, and versus those disavowing feminism. So if you're a feminist man, then you supposedly are more quote unquote pleasurable, supposedly, but they don't actually factor in the performance. Non-feminist men are actually going to be strong. They're going to be like construction workers, and they're going to be hardworking people. They're men who are going to have higher testosterone, and they're going to be able to last longer and perform better in the bedroom. Sure, these feminist men, they care more, and maybe they're willing to do more acts, but as far as how well they can perform, they don't perform as well as traditional men or women or men who disavow or don't care about feminism. Again, the argument is this: if you agree or if you disagree, you support or you don't support feminism. If you're not supporting, or if you say you're not a feminism, you're disavowing it, you're fighting against it. Again, see, they're moving the goalpost. Earlier, there was the majority of men here, again, these are married men who were masculine enough, had high enough testosterone, confident enough to get married in the first place, and then they said they were just not feminist. So that now they moved the goalpost, and they said that you are now disavowing feminism if you say that you're not. Disavowing is more of a word of you disagreeing or fighting against it, like almost like as far as going to break the chains or oppose feminism. Then of course they get to move the goalpost and make them seem more extreme, make them into a quote-unquote bad person. They say supporting these men may care about their partners as expressing through, feminist men are willing to be a little bit more experimental and do some alternative options, some different actions. Okay, that's not surprising, but again, they don't give us the statistics. They don't tell us the differences, and of course, they're not going to talk about the actual satisfaction. And if this was a real study, they'd be comparing, feminist men, non-feminist men, and they would give us the differences between the men who were just not sure. And they would bring us, and if this was a real study as well, we could see the differences between married and not married men and everybody else as well, who was, those men who were not married also, who were, if they were feminist or not feminist or didn't know, and somewhere the people in between. But this isn't a real study. They're just, again, this is all focused on the men who, just said they were not feminist. This is a way for them to shame and control this situation. You know, let's talk about their final points here. They say in private, feminist men and those ambivalent. So if you're a supporter of feminism, so you care about them. So not only arguing if you and saying that you're a good boy, you're a good man. You know, we like you, and we're gonna do more for you. That's what this article is all about. We're gonna do more for you, and you're gonna do more for us, and we're both gonna be more happy. And this is how, so quote unquote, supposedly marriages are gonna be made better. They say many men claiming a feminist identity also declare support for gender equality. Okay. Of course, they don't really care about gender equality. They're destroying men and enslaving men and overtaxing men, and they shame and put down on men constantly. They say our results indicate this purported support coincides with a commitment to gender equality. So if you care about gender equality, then you're more likely to care about a woman's satisfaction, and therefore you're a better person, and you're going to have more bedroom fun. That's what this really dumb article is trying to convey. You know, I could have said that in 30 seconds in this video, but I wanted you to see the goalpost moving, how they try to control and create a narrative. And they also try to suggest that we need to have more control and more power and you know, control the situation. Feminist women do not care about men. And again, if you as a man are capitulating to feminist women, they don't care about you. They openly hate you. They openly mock you. They openly try to control you. They you know, even traditional women, they can hold out. You know, traditional women often, you know, especially once you have a kid in a marriage, they you know, they reduce the encounter, they reduce the fun. And you as a man are morally and culturally and even religiously obligated, and even religions often let women, you know, they let them slide. If a woman commits adultery, if she cheats on you, if you're in a marriage, so I mean, her little friends groups and her religion and people, they don't care very much. If you do it, it's much worse to them. Why don't we talk about equality in regards to consequences for bad actions? And of course, they constantly talk about, oh, there's benefits for men, or there's benefits for men. You as a man, if you're a feminist, you are the ones who led us into this situation where 70% or 60 to 70% of people going to college are women. Women are about to take control of most jobs. We are in the later stages, I guess they would say the middle stages of feminism. Feminism is starting to tear apart our target religions all across the world. They're even targeting Muslim women. Women from India are becoming feminist. And this is leading to less marriages, less happy men, and women are less happy because of feminism. And feminism ultimately, eventually, but once it gets twisted in with the political movement, even here they say it's a movement of, you know, more than just about women. They eventually don't even care about women. Feminism ultimately today, and here in 2022, doesn't even care about women. It's focused on trans, and they can't even tell us what a woman is. They can't even identify with this birthing persons type of thing. It's not, you know, if you're a woman, it's not you know, it's not based on your, you know, your gender from what you were born as. And also it's not, it can't be based on if you just like candles or cute things or something. I mean, they've literally had debates or discussions, and they have no definition or explanation because they moved the goalpost with this new crazy gender identity type of belief. And feminism today is mixed in with targeting men to be more experimental. You know, these feminist women, they talk about all these things that you might get a blow. You might get, you know, something that you think is kind of normal. You know, they talked about innocence of, you know, just, you know, rubbing and things. These feminist women are going to want to dominate you, and often it's fairly common these days. And they even joke about it on TikTok. I mean, with strap-ons, and they're going to do things to you that most traditional or most masculine men are not going to want to do. Again, they also don't talk about that if you do decide to marry a feminist, you know, you as a man are going to be so demeaned and so powerless, and most men who get married these days are so weak, and then they're beat up and they're nagged verbally, they're put down, and they have no control, and then their women controls the bedroom fun, so they're deprived. One of the only ways these feminist men get release or activity is through, I can't even say the word on YouTube, but it goes along with the cock-a-doodle-doo, that, you know, you get to watch another man, you know, with your woman or with your wife, and you get to have some control of the situation about, you know, who it is. You know, you get to accept or reject, or possibly even some people actually go and find, you know, you find somebody and you want that guy to take your wife. And they think that these feminist men think that's normal or good, and then they watch it, and then they get to control the situation, like with what happens, and they get to control a little bit, and they like to watch their woman, because again, this modern feminist wife, this is a new form of cheating and dominance. Again, this doesn't go both ways. We don't have this in our modern society where a man goes and picks a new woman, and or his wife, you know, goes and finds somebody else, and then that woman just accepts or is happy to watch you with a new woman as a form of satisfaction. And, you know, and the power dynamic and this crazy game that's going on, you know. It's very crazy, and it's very strange that this is seen as a benefit. Feminist women who want to have less children or no children, you're more likely to get married at you know, older ages, 30, 35 or so. It's quite crazy, isn't it? You know, this is suggested as a benefit. You know, you as a man have to wait until you're, you know, 40 or so, you know, or, you know, these women will wait till they're 30 to get married, 35. So you as a man might have to wait till you're 40 or so to get married, or 35. And then they've had all their fun when they're teenagers and young, fun in the sun, hot girl summer. And then all of a sudden you know, your only option, and you're shamed into it. You know, there's something wrong with you if you're attracted to a woman who's younger than 25. And 25, you know, a woman is getting up there. I mean, that's especially old for a marriage or a relationship. But, you know, it's a crazy world, isn't it? It's a crazy world where you as a man, you're supposed to accept and you're supposed to tolerate. And you, again, these women are going to promise you all these things. This was written about a year ago. This is something that, you know, this is the kind of article or the thing they might have talked about, you know, 10, 20, 30 years ago. This is one of the old arguments that they used to have. This is one of the old things that they used to have, or promise. They used to promise, you know, men that we would be doing, you know, you would get more and you would get benefits, and that we would work together and, you know, make things more equal, and we would be more happy. And, you know, they even tried to make the argument that women joining the workforce would boost the economy, and all these crazy arguments. But I hope that you understand that you as a man, you're not getting anything from this. I think that if you're halfway intelligent, you know that marrying a feminist woman is an extremely bad idea. They don't love you. They don't care about you. You are disposable. I mean, traditional women are quick enough to cheat on you, betray you, and, you know, have a child with somebody else, have a bastard. traditional women are already were already privileged, and then you add feminism on top of it, and they're, you know, there's literally women who will get married to you depending on where you work, so they can get, you can get them hired and you know, get a job where you work, so they can try to replace you or try to get you demoted, or, you know, so they can get a promotion. They don't care about you as a man succeeding or achieving, or your, I mean, men's happiness. When's the last time feminism has actually talked about men's happiness? Again, here, they can't even give you real statistics. All they told you was, which was probably true, they didn't tell you the actual statistics. They didn't tell you the actual facts. And again, this is only in regards to the men who said they were not feminist. They weren't very open, and they didn't target or talk about different demographics, different men, different ages of men, you know, and all kinds of different factors. They didn't talk about the men who, you know, they didn't include all the men who were feminist, not feminist, and indifferent or neutral. Again, they had the audacity to say that the men who were said they were not feminists, that they were disavowing, or they were opposers of feminism, that they were enemies. And again, they try to weasel their way in, or lie to you, or spin this little web. I hope that you men don't listen to this. Feminist men also are the problem. I can't say it enough. I get people telling me on my channel that somehow I'm disgusting. They try to shame me. And a lot of the truth is, a lot of men are raised and they're taught, and they have emotional minds. They have the minds of women. They were raised around women. They're raised by with an older sister, or they had lots of sisters, or the man wasn't in the house. The man wasn't masculine. The man never taught the man to be strong or confident. You know, most of these modern men, especially in cities, have never worked. They've never done anything. They've never lifted anything. They've never split any wood. You know, swinging an axe. They've never done any hard labor. Most of these feminist men have no idea what it's like to be a man and work hard. And they get these cushy office jobs. And then they vote and vote in these cities for bigger and bigger government, more and more social programs. And they let their... And they have a blind eye, and they let their women cheat and you know, do these things, and you know, have a cockle-doodle-doo relationship, you know, where you watch another man take your wife. This is the kind of thing that you can look forward to. What can you look forward to in a relationship, in a marriage with a feminist? And I'm going to be making another video about that. So, of course, come back to Daddy Knows Best channel. Please like, comment, subscribe, hit that notification bell, share the video, and tell a friend. Hope that you enjoyed our video today. Simply put, men, if you want to be happy and confident and be strong, you need to avoid feminists, and you need to watch some of my other videos and date internationally and find a more traditional woman to have a relationship. And again, marriage is very dangerous, so you have to be very careful and very aware. Even if you date internationally, even if you find a traditional woman, and you know, and again, if you bring her back to the USA, you're going to have to protect her and vet her and make sure that she's not going to turn into one of these women who simply just want to destroy you and hurt men. And again, these women and these modern, you know, leftist, modernist types, they don't care about our economy. They don't care about your free speech. They don't care about your freedom to defend your lives. They don't even want you to have kitchen knives so you can cook your own food in your own house. Hope that you know that what these women are actually fighting for, they're not fighting for freedom or new experiences or expressions. They don't really care that much about that, especially in regard to making men happy. You know, the issue is, are women happy? That's what they care about. They've never cared about men's happiness. So you as a man, please look for how you can be happy and stand up for your happiness. So I'll see you soon in the next video. Peace out, everybody. Love you, and bye.